Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. My name is Orla and I am here to give you an update on where I was last week and why I took the week off YouTube and all things like that. I did promise you this update, so that's why I'm sitting down to do it now, so bear with me if I get a bit mixed up on my timings and my stuff like that. Sorry, my hair is pulled back into a bobbin because I was out the back weeding this morning. I'm chatting with Bob, so I'm a bit all over the place. So I've just come in, made a cup of coffee, and I decided I'd sit down and have a chat with you. So as you will have seen, on Saturday the 3rd of July, I went out up to the Pavilions and Swords and I did my food shop and I had a look around TK Maxx, which was fine. Came home absolutely chuffed with my purchases. Sat down, decided to edit up the food shop. I had to edit up and did all that, got that up. And then at about 12 o'clock, just before 12 o'clock, maybe half 11, I get a text off Kerry to say that Grandma had rang the on-call doctor for her. Now bear in mind, where my mum is, it's quite remote, so there's a very good on-call doctor service there. So my mum had rang the on-call doctor. I didn't think much of it. Kerry hadn't said in sort of passing she'd a pain in her hip, and we were saying, well, it's, you know, you're down in Grandma's house and the mattresses are different and, you know, different things going on. That was just maybe, that's what it was, you slept funny. And my mum has all single beds for us, where Kerry would have, sorry, I just have to move this a fraction. Mum would, up here she has a double bed, same as myself. Carol's the same. So when she was saying she'd a pain in her hip and stuff, I thought maybe she just slept on one side all night and she got a bit of a pain in her hip. Or then she was like, yeah, it's a bit of an ache and it's sort of going in towards my belly button. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's all we'd really heard about. There was nothing major. She didn't say she was in a lot of pain or anything like that. And she hadn't said it to my mum, because my mum, in fairness to her, if something like that would come up, she'd ring me and let me know. So I knew something was serious if Mum had called the on-call doctor, so I decided to give Mum a ring. Now, when you, I don't know if you know this, when you ring the on-call doctor, you get through to like a secretary who takes your name and number, and then a nurse will ring you back, and then if she deems it that the doctor needs to speak to you, she'll then pass your details on to the doctor. So it's like you get triaged before you get to speak to the doctor. So they were waiting. When I rang Mum, sorry, when I texted Kerry back, they were waiting on the triage nurse to ring them. So again, no big rush. And she, even talking to her, she didn't seem in that much pain. She was a bit discomfort, but not pain. So that was fine. So we're still saying, you know, well, the doctor will probably come out, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we're just chatting. That was grand. So then about, I suppose maybe 12:30, 1:45. So this would have been going into the Sunday morning. Obviously now, I mean, how the hell are you meant to go to bed? So obviously the whole house is up wide awake because Hayley was up here with me and Carl, because they had come back for their orthodontic appointments, and Hayley got her braces tightened and Carl went on the 5th, and he has been told that he is getting extender braces which go across the roof of your mouth. But this is obviously the Saturday into the Sunday night before then. So I rang my mum back. I think I rang my mum then when Kerry had said that Mum had rang the doctor. So I rang my mum just to see what was going on and why she decided to ring the doctor. And you know when someone answers the phone, because obviously it's all video chat now, so when she answered the phone, my mum is not a panicker at all. Okay, you have to come in with your limbs falling off. Like, if it can be fixed with a band-aid, that's my mum. But when she answered the phone, the worry on her face actually gave me a fright, because I was like, Jesus, like, this is serious. So while I was talking to my mum, the doctor actually rang Kerry back. And Mum could hear him talking to the doctor. Obviously Mum couldn't talk to the doctor even though Kerry at this point was in a bit of pain, because Kerry's over 18 and the doctor won't entertain anybody, obviously, I mean, from GDPR reasons and patient confidentiality, all stuff like that, he had to speak to Kerry. So he was talking to her and he said to her, you need to go to the hospital. And my mum lives, I suppose, dead of night, probably 2.25 hours away from the hospital, because at night obviously you'd have to go a lot slower. So, or either get someone to bring you to the hospital or call the ambulance. So we were chatting and I said to Kerry, Grandma just can't drive in, you know, those roads, 1:30 in the morning. Like, there was no way she was going to start driving. And well, she would have, in fairness to her, if she would have had to, she would have. So it was decided Kerry needed the ambulance service. So Mum rang the ambulance service for her. And now, if there's a big controversy over ambulances in my mum's area, because there's like 2 ambulances for the whole of Connemara, and if they're already in Galway, it'll take them 1.5 to 2 hours to get back to you, and then 2 hours in. So you could be waiting up for an ambulance, even if they've just left, you could be waiting 5-6 hours for an ambulance if you couldn't get yourself in. So I said to Mum, okay, so they rang the ambulance. Sorry, I know this is a bit all over the place because I'm going an awful lot off memory. So they rang the ambulance, so I said to Kerry, you need to pack a bag. So she didn't want my mum to pack a bag. She was just like, I'll do it, it keep me focused on something else. So she went down and started packing a bag. So the ambulance turned up at about 1:10. So they must have been in the base station in Clifton, because they're out here within 20 minutes, I think. So they came in. Obviously, I hung up the phone. My mum was dealing with all that, but I rang her back then. And it was the saddest picture I've ever, I was on my mum's, talking to my mum on the phone, and on my phone she has a Ring camera, so I could see the video, and seeing Kerry walking out to the ambulance. Now she did walk out, so thanks be to God, like she was able to walk out to the ambulance. Anyway, she walked out to the ambulance, and of course with COVID and this whole thing, no one could go with her. Bearing in mind, Kerry has never been to hospital. She has broken her arm, but she went to A&E, that wasn't even in Spain, and I think we were seeing cast, her arm reset, I think all within 3 hours. Like, so she's never been in hospital overnight on her own, ever. She had to go in the ambulance on her own. So it was all very scary for Kerry. As much as it was fascinating for her, it was scary for her, because it was all first. She's in pain. She had to deal with the doctor, she had to deal with the ambulance men, she had to deal with everybody on her own. So that was scary. So it took them, once they collected her and left, I think she said she got into the hospital about 3:30 in the morning. So that was Sunday night, 3:30 in the morning. So again, they ran tests. It was all pain management at that point, because obviously she was in a lot of pain. It was pain management, running blood tests, trying to figure out what was wrong with her, urine samples, everything, to go through everything with her. So, of course, I was ready to go. I was ready to hop in the car and was like, as Siobhan would tell you, I had my witness protection. My witness protection bag was ready to go. I was gone. And they said, you can't, because you can't go into the hospital. You can't go in the ambulance. You can't do anything. All you'll end up doing is sitting in the car park. Until she's either discharged or put up to a ward, and then you won't be allowed in to see her anyway. Plus I had Carol's orthodontic appointment on the Monday, so this was Sunday morning. So Monday, 10:30, I had Carol the orthodontist. I thought, right, okay. So I think then they ran tests and they said to her, you either have a UTI or a kidney infection. Sorry, Carol just sneezed, made me jump. So when Kerry was born, she was born with a kidney quite low. So you have your bladder and your kidneys drop the urine into the bladder. Her left kidney is up where it should be, but her right kidney is right down low, and there's no drop into the bladder. It's literally a straight line. And we were told before she was born, because they picked it up in ultrasound, that she'd probably be prone to kidney infection, she'd probably be prone to UTIs, all this. Touch wood, the child never in her life has had either until now. And we have not had her kidney scanned since she was born, because she never had any problems with it. And I suppose it's one of those things we kept putting on the long finger going, well, there's no problem with it, so it must be fine. So obviously knowing that she's always known that her kidney is not where it's meant to be. And I remember, actually, funny story, the ultrasound, we had Kerry in England, and we were in St. James's Hospital in England, which was a major teaching hospital for the north of England. And we used to get the guys who used to come down for their ultrasound tests. We used to be booked in for scans so they could get them to look for kidneys and stuff, knowing that she had a kidney. Anyway, that was beside the point. But the main doctor there, he said, well, at least if anybody ever goes to kidney puncture, there's no kidney there to punch. I thought, wow, that bloody hell were you raised, that people go around kidney boxing each other like that? That's just one thing that sticks out in my mind. And I remember one of the radiologists was doing a final test, or an exam anyway, and sheer panic on their face when he couldn't find the kidney, and he just couldn't find it, and he was getting so stressed out over it. But yeah, that was one that we were used for his final test. I often think, I wonder how he ever got on. Anyway, that's beside the point. So going back, so they obviously then did blood tests and stuff. They diagnosed her with a kidney infection, but then they had to do a scan. And on the Monday, she was lucky, on the Monday she got transferred up to a ward, and obviously they were going to give her intravenous pain meds and intravenous antibiotics. So that's the course they were running her on. And God love her, because the last time Kerry got an antibiotic would have been maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. She had tonsillitis, and she had to get an antibiotic for her tonsillitis. She never has antibiotics, and before that it was years. So when the antibiotics intravenously were hitting her, they were absolutely knocking her for six. And then with the pain meds on top of it, she just slept, I suppose, most of Monday. So then the hunt was on to find the kidney. So she had to go down for an ultrasound. I think on the Monday she went for the ultrasound, and I had to bring Carol to, no, I hadn't really slept Sunday night. And Hayley said to me, Ma'am, you go get some sleep, because if you need to drive to Galway, you need to be alert. And she said, I'll stay up Sunday night and keep texting Kerry. This is 3:30 in the morning. And she was like, I'll keep texting her until you get up tomorrow and you can take over. And I was like, okay. So we had sort of a little plan put together. And it was one time I was very thankful that my kids were that bit older, that they sort of went, okay, you need to sleep, she needs company, me and Carol fill the gap. So on Monday, as I said, Carl went to the orthodontist. He was told he needed expander braces, and he would have them on for 18 months. But before he got the braces, he had to have this expander rake put into his mouth. So he's getting that in September. He's to get 2 small fillings, 2 tiny fillings done before then. But then every week in September, he has to go back to the orthodontist to get, I think they have to do preparations and molds and different stuff. So he's got all that done. So we had that all on the Monday, plus Kerry in hospital, plus my poor mother stressed out of her head, because we couldn't even ring the hospital and ask what was going on, because obviously over 18 she has to give them explicit consent for them to talk to us. And obviously because she was sleeping so much, she kept forgetting, and she was just, yeah, I'll say it to them the next time, and then she'd be asleep the next time. And so it was very frustrating on our end that we couldn't get information, and poor Kerry was doped up to the eyeballs, and then she's trying to relay to us what the doctor said. So it was all over the place, and we were all very conflustered. But then Mommy she rang the ward. We got the ward that she was on. She rang the ward, and the ward said, no, you can come in and visit, but it's one visitor per visiting slot, and your name has to be given in advance, and you have to obviously preferably be vaccinated, because obviously it was a grandmother going in. They didn't want a non-vaccinated grandmother going into the hospital. So, and masks have to be worn, blah, blah, blah. So Mum was thrilled. On the Tuesday, she was able to go and see her. But on the Monday, they went looking for this, maybe it was the Tuesday, they went looking for the kidney. One of the days. My days, as I said, are a bit over the place. So they went to do an ultrasound for her kidney, and they found her right kidney was right to the front. If you go sort of between your hip and your belly button on the right side, and then in between, that's where her kidney is, and it's down really low. But they were fascinated that if they pressed on her stomach, they could actually feel her kidney, because it was quite swollen. So they could feel it from the outside. So she had the residents, the first year doctors coming up, because they could feel the kidney, that were on their little rotation in the hospital. So she had that. But I'm delighted in a way that we found the kidney, because obviously we didn't know where it had moved as she got older. So then she was kept on the antibiotics and the pain meds, and then I think Tuesday night they turned around and said, no, we're going to take it, because you've responded so well. Every day they were doing blood tests, and because she had responded so well, then they decided they were going to take her off the intravenous antibiotics and pain meds and just try her on oral. So that switch happened in the middle of the night, sort of Tuesday night, because the nurse had to go off and get them stuff to eat, because they obviously antibiotics need to eat with them. So that happened on the Tuesday. So then on the Wednesday I said to Mum, so obviously Mum had been in then on the Tuesday to see her. So I said to Mum, I'm going to go down Wednesday. I'm just going to go down, and I'll stay in Galway, and that way then I can pop in at the hospital, because my mum was getting a 2-hour bus ride in, 2-hour bus ride out, so it was 4 hours of travelling each day for my mum, so it was a lot. So I said, no, look, I'll go down. So we obviously had to tell her dad. We told her dad and stuff, and that was all fine. But we booked into Galway Corrib village, and it's student accommodation, so it's like an apartment, and every room is separate. Then you just rent what room you want out of it. But because of COVID, you were getting whole apartments. So we got a 4-bedroom apartment, so everyone would have their own room. But when we were leaving, Kerry told us that she was being discharged that day, which worked out perfect, because it meant I collected her from the hospital and we went back to this apartment. And the reason we wanted to stay in Galway was, they said to us, it's either going to go 2 ways. It's either going to be she's going to go on to oral antibiotics, they're going to keep working, the infection's going to go, or she's going to go on to oral antibiotics and the infection's going to come back, because for whatever reason the oral antibiotics won't be strong enough. And I thought, well, I really don't want to drive out to my mum's, to drive all the way back in, and know my luck, it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning and she'd have a temperature spike or something, and I'd have to bring her back in. So we decided we'd stay in Galway for 4 nighs, no, 3 nights, the Wednesday night, Thursday night and Friday night, and we went out to my mum's on the Saturday. So that's what happened. We went down. Now, while we were down in Galway, we didn't do anything, because Kerry was exhausted from taking the antibiotics. She was exhausted from being in hospital. So she came home. We actually went to Smith's. I haven't been to Smith's toy store in years. And we bought games, we bought colouring books. And we actually just chilled out as a family in a little, you know, and it was nice. And we cooked a dinner and we just relaxed. And it was nice, because she'd get up and she'd sit up with us, and we might go for a bit of a drive. But nothing strenuous, nothing over the top. Just kept it nice and calm. Nice environment, playing games, just a very stressful. So she was able to take her antibiotics, she was able to just rest when she needed to rest, get up when she needed to get up. She was fine. So she actually was feeling much, much better. But the whole of that time, there was no way in God's earth I was going to pick up a camera and start vlogging or recording anything. I just hadn't got the heart. I was all over the place. I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't know my head from my arse, because she was on antibiotics and painkillers. I had Hayley, who was stressing because CEO announce something and she's stressed out over it, and Carol and myself were playing some games and we were doing, but it wasn't a nice environment to be recording. And we were constantly waiting for her temperature to go up, and it was horrible because you were still sitting around going, you know, are you sick, or how you feel? Yeah, and it was that type of stuff. But by the time we went out to my mum's on the Saturday, we drove out to my mum's, we got dinner, did all that, and she was back in her own bed. She was back with mum. Mum was great. Mum, actually, my mum said she wasn't stressed, and she was like, no, I didn't, you know, I was fine. But she'd moved stuff all around the house, so obviously she was just keeping herself busy, which I thought was quite funny, because she obviously didn't realise herself that she was even stressed. But anyway, so that took us right up, and obviously I'd done recordings, I just hadn't posted them. I went to Galway, hadn't got my computer to edit them, anything, so I just thought, no, just take the week, walk away for a week. But I just thought I owed you a bit of an explanation, because sort of 1 minute we were there and the next minute we were gone. So yeah, so at the moment myself and Carol are in Drogheda, because obviously we left at such short notice to go down to Galway. He had to cancel plans with a load of his friends. So I said to him, look, rearrange them, me and you'll go back to Drogheda. We left the 2 girls down here, down in Galway with mum. Everybody's calm. So that's the way we've left it. Plus I'm getting my second vaccine on the 16th, so I would have had to come up this week anyway. So I said to him, look, just meet up with your friends, make arrangements. I have my vaccine on Friday, and he's going to come up with me for the drive, and we're going to get Starbucks after, and we'll worry about going back down to my mum's sort of later. So that's where we are. That's what happened. Thanks be to God, Kerry's okay. She's doing much better now. She will be on the antibiotics for 10 days. But she is so much better in herself. She's up, she's walking, she's talking, she's coherent. There was a stage we went through, she just was like talking in circles and we couldn't make sense of her. So, but no, she's happy and she's getting better, and that's the main thing. She did get a bit of a scare, and out of all that, because of the position of the kidney, they want to refer her up to Beaumont Hospital in Dublin to a kidney expert, who is going to have to line up with a gynecologist, because they sort of went, well, if she ever decides she ever wants children, the kidney is in the way. So they were like, at least if you have it in the works and you're going about it, you're not having to sort of panic when she ends up pregnant or she wants to get pregnant, you know, that at least if it's in the works, they can come up with a plan. And sure, we all know, plan is half the battle. Right, so I hope that explains where I was for the last week. And I hope you understand why, obviously, I didn't do editing anything, and it was short notice and it was gone. On a plus side, the downtime gave us time to come up with a plan for my YouTube channel. I haven't got it all worked out yet, but the problem I was having was there were so many things I wanted to do on my channel that I couldn't figure out how to do everything I wanted. So I've sort of sat down and worked that out a bit. I hopefully will have that finalised out by tomorrow's live. So thanks for stopping by. I hope that explanation just clears up where we vanished off to, and why we had nothing pre-recorded or ready to go up, and why there was such a gap in the videos. And I will talk to you tomorrow in the live, and hopefully then we're back on track and back on schedule going forward. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye bye.